Virgin Radio, Style Rock.
Amici di Virgin Radio, per me è un grande onore essere di nuovo in compagnia di una delle rockstar del panorama musicale internazionale più amate di tutti i tempi, Mr. Dave Gahan from DEPECHE Mode. Hi Dave.
Hello.
What a pleasure to see you again.
Yeah, doesn't seem like that long ago.
No, a year and a half.
Is it a year and a half
Yeah.
already? Wow, that has gone quick. Yeah.
Time flies.
Yeah.
You said that you decided to dive back to DEPECHE Mode and you're swimming again. And also you came back with a very powerful message, Memento Mori.
I guess we started talking towards the end, not of last year, the year before, about making a record at least. And at first I wasn't sure I wanted to jump into it. I took a month or two to think about it, because you know it's a lot if you to do another record. Martin sent me a few songs, and once I heard a few songs, I kind of felt like I wanted to. One of those first songs I heard was Ghosts Again. So, and you know, we made the record almost completely at Martin's house in Santa Barbara. He has a really great studio there, and so we had a great team. We did a little bit of stuff recorded at Rick Rubin's studios or at Shangri-La, and then Marta Salongi, she mixed the album in London. But you know, we started recording, and all the songs were all written prior to losing Fletch as well, Fletch passing away. We even had the titles before as well. And Fletch was going to join us in the studio when we'd already been recording and maybe had 5 or 6 or 7 songs or something. And so Fletch was going to join us to listen, and then he passed away. So everything kind of changed. We had to sort of rethink, first of all, if we wanted to continue. Martin and I both agreed that we wanted to finish making the record. You know, like I said earlier as well, when been asked about it, it was strange after that because it felt often like there was an absence in the room, of course, that being Fletch, but at the same time he was in our conscience all the time.
It's a connection that not even that can cut.
Yeah, a lot of people would of course immediately think that the title and Ghosts Again and all these things were written in memoriam of Fletch or something, but they were there before he passed. So.
And listening to the whole record, the atmosphere that it gave to me was like a huge trip. I think this record is monumental, but also I had, you know, sometimes in some moments a sad feeling, but never desperate. There's a message of light. What do you want to communicate with this record to your audience?
I think that's a good way of putting it. You know, I've described the songs. First hearing Ghosts Again, I felt this melancholy and sadness, but I also felt this, at the same time, this feeling of joy. It's like melancholy joy mixed up together, and to me that's a sort of magical place. It always sort of gives me hope within music or film or whatever it is I'm doing. When I have those kind of feelings, there's something deeper there. And I think the album really travels down that road.
What was the thing that particularly made you decide to go back to the relationship and working with Martin Gore? I mean, when was the moment you said, we need to go back together?
I think it was kind of like in January of last year. And once I committed, and Martin really wanted to start work on, he had written a lot of songs, and during the pandemic even, he had been writing songs actually with Richard Butler from the Psychedelic Furs. They decided to write some songs together, quite a few of which ended up on this record, Ghosts Again being one of them, Caroline's Monkey, Don't Say You Love Me. You know, these are just a few, but I didn't know this as well at the time when Martin first sent me some demos, until suddenly I realised the voice that I was listening to on the demo was not Martin. It was in fact Richard Butler, who has a very distinctive tone and voice, and I've always loved his voice. Martin and I have always been big Psychedelic Furs fans as well, so, and they became friends, I think, probably, I should imagine in the late 80s or something, I'm not sure, but so they had always talked about writing together, and I think this opportunity came about. So when Martin asked me, you know, and I wanted to listen to some songs, Wagging Tongue, Speak to Me, like I had the song, I demoed the song, and I gave it to Martin, and then he gave it back to me with all this like great work he'd done on it. Speak to Me. That song to me was the key song that I was going to be making this record with Martin.
Is it the song you feel the closest to?
Sometimes, and we've been rehearsing a lot at the moment, but there's definitely a special moment. It was a time when I'd been asked the question. Martin had said he wanted to start working on a record, and I wasn't sure, and I was kind of with myself. I was out walking alone. I was thinking a lot about making another Depeche Mode record, and suddenly this song came into my head, kind of complete as well. I heard everything. I started singing the tune to myself, and I didn't have my phone with me or anything, so I started walking faster because I wanted to get back to be able to put something into my phone, an idea. And that song ended up becoming the last song on the record, and it's a perfect bookend to the beginning of the record, which we both felt should be My Cosmos Is Mine, and ending with Speak to Me. So it's kind of petitioning, and then it's like, I need the answer.
That's great. And Spirit turned out to be such a prophetical record. And this one, you're saying that the songs were written, in the last years. But did all the things happen in the last year? The induction to the Rock Hall of Fame, war, pandemic, Fletch's passing. How do all these things reflect on the record, if they do?
I can only speak for myself, but life is. To me, it's been very kind, and my life is very full, and I have many, many choices. I'm very lucky, I know that. But life can also be extremely cruel. It's hard to take everything in sometimes, and certainly during the pandemic, I think we all got a chance to reflect on who we were with, what we were doing, how we were spending our time, and how we would want to spend our time in the future. I certainly thought about that a lot. Yeah, and everything that's happened since then is also kind of unbelievable to me. War and a lot of pain and suffering. So, when you make music, all that stuff, for me anyway, and I think for Martin as well, I speak for him as well, it comes through you, and hopefully you somehow get it into whatever it is you're creating. Throughout that process, you experience all those things: happiness and joy and sadness and loss, pain. They're always pretty close together, I think. You've just got to be careful how you choose.
It's like love and hate. Yeah. Very, very similar feelings.
Yeah, of course, really close. I think that's part of life. As you get older, you realise that that's part of life.
Talking about the music of the record, I could hear just a few guitars, just here and there. Yeah. Is it time to bury guitars as we know them? In the old-fashioned way. I'm
a big fan of guitars, but yeah, there wasn't so much on this record. We had a really great little team in the end. It was myself and Martin and James Ford and Marta Salogni. And the four of us together used what skills we had to make this sound. And sometimes it's a piano, and through an amplifier or something. Sometimes there's a guitar line, a lot of analog electronics and drum machines. And James is a kind of all-round musician, so he can play the bass. He plays drums a lot on the record. And Marta, in her style as well, she has a particular creative strength, and the four of us together, I think, was somehow a really good team. There are a lot of guitar sounds, and not so much parts sometimes, but there's a lot of sounds on there. But everything is always heavily processed, and we've always worked like that, whether we're using hard electronics or guitars or traditional instruments. I think that's one of the things about Depeche Mode that's always kind of been interesting. It's about who you work with, the team that you put around you. That's what kind of makes it interesting and elevates what it is that Martin and I could do between us. James and Marta together, they really elevated the songs to a different place.
Talking about the video of the single, goes again, there's the reference to the film by Bergman, 1957, The Seventh Seal, video by Anton Corbijn. It's really cool with you playing chess, but it's also, like the movie actually, an example of themes like human fragility, redemption, which is very Depeche Mode. How did you come up with the idea with Anton?
Well, Anton, heard the song and he came up with the idea. I immediately liked it because I liked all the Bergman references as well. And I knew that Anton could really pull that off. And then all the other stuff that's in there as well, in the graveyard, me crawling around in there. There's also this sort of twisted humour that Anton can really bring out in you and get you to do things that for a different director, you would say no. But because it's Anton, you're like, really? You want me to crawl around on the floor? Yeah, Div, I want you to get it as low as possible. I think the combination of all the things together, the way Martin and I were just wandering around New York City, then on top of a roof with that beautiful skyline behind us. And like you say, the game of chess feeds into the song, We're all there's an end for all of us. We don't know when that is. The song really is about embracing life as it is for you or for me or for anybody as well, but knowing as well that there's an end. There's going to be an end for everybody, and that's something that we all have in common. We will all die. As the title Memento Mori is, it's remember that you must die.
Yeah, but like an exhortation to be the best human being you can while we're still here.
Yeah, I guess that's
it's not a warning.
That's the hard part, though. The hard part is to be the best you can be. We all fail dismally often, but there's moments of when you can bring something that elevates your life and other people's life. And I think making music and people relating to what it is and what they hear has always been something, for me personally, as a fan of listening to other people's music, it can completely change the way I feel about anything.
Your voice has always been an instrument to speak to the ones who felt different. Do you think that music is still the best weapon we can use to overcome dark times?
I like that, yeah, I like the idea of it being a weapon. It's dark times, but also joyful times, and they're always so close together. It could be in one phrase, one lyric, and part of a song. But I do, over the years, I definitely lean into that more and more, how I can use my voice to draw you into, like, my world. Be part of that with me. You can create a lot of feeling.
And there's also in the lyrics the feeling that we are all still dealing with what you're saying, like fix is better than healing.
Exactly, yeah. There's so much in that line.
Yeah.
For me, there was, when I heard it, there's so much in that line, and everybody will hear it in a different way. And I think as you live your life, like if you read books or you watch films and you read that book again, or you watch a film again maybe 10 years later or whatever, that you see so much more and read so much more in it, as you change in life. And I think it's the same with music.
We're also waiting for the world tour. Did you miss the big crowds as one of the best performers ever? Are you excited?
Yeah, I'm starting to get excited. We've been rehearsing for a while now. The guys were all working out in Santa Barbara for a bit, but they've been in New York for a couple of weeks, and it's definitely starting to sound like DEPECHE Mode. And the set that we're working on, it feels really good too. A mix of old songs, of course, and some new in there as well, but I think it's going to be a really good show.
And we can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
The sense of togetherness that comes out of your music is one of the main reasons why people say that being a fan of DEPECHE Mode is more a cult, is more a faith. Do you like that definition?
I think we all need something. Some things are more helpful than others. If our music and songs and my voice or whatever has helped anybody to get through something or in any way, or there's identification there, then I'm doing my job.
Dave, thank you so much for being with us, and see you very soon on stage this time.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.